Hola, everybody. Good evening. This is Abelardo de la Peña Jr. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications for La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. And you're here tonight with En Casa con la Plaza. And we'd like to welcome our participants who are coming in from everywhere, either on Zoom or Facebook Live. This is our series in which we're bringing La Plaza's programming and activities to you. Unfortunately, along with everyone else, all other institutions, cultural institutions and organizations, we've had to temporarily close our doors, but we're making it possible for you to take advantage of our presentations, our demonstrations, our discussions, and so on that we normally hold there at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes. So today we have a very special, a couple reasons why this is special. For one, we have multiple panelists, as you see here. This is the first time that we have multiple panelists. Usually we have a conversation with one person, but this is, we're gonna try something different, so hang in there with us. We're learning this new technology as you are, but we know you're gonna have a good time. So this is the Puro Political Pari. And to introduce the Puro Political Pari, I'm going to introduce to you our guest host for tonight, our CEO of La Plaza de Cultura y Artes, John Echeveste. So I'm going to sign off for now. And John, it's all on you.
It's all on me. Okay, thank you, Abelardo, and welcome, bienvenidos everyone on this hot day in Los Angeles. It's good to have you all here. And thank you, Abelardo, for doing a great job in hosting our sessions during the past week. I also just want to mention that we're very happy to welcome on board with us now two sponsors who are participating with us in the programs, and that's AARP and Walmart, two longtime friends and supporters of La Plaza. So we're very happy to have them on board. Okay. So tonight we're going to have a little political party, and I think we're all equipped here, right, with beverages in hand, and we're going to talk about political activism and how people can get involved in the political system. This is going to be a very critical year because we have the national election November 3rd. That is going to determine the makeup of the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. And of course, people have staked sides on both sides of those parties now, and we're gearing up for the election, even though it's taken a little bit of a backseat to the COVID crisis that's going on. The election will go on. Okay, and there are two things that I want to say before we get started here. One is that tonight's discussion will focus on the blue side of the equation. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the Democratic Party and ways that people can get involved in the Democratic outreach effort. If there's anyone who's interested in speaking from the red side of the equation, we're more than happy to talk to them about that. So just let us know. But tonight we're going to be focused on the blues, okay? The other thing I wanted to mention is this, that we're not talking tonight about political issues or political candidates. This is not a political debate tonight, but it's a discussion about how people can become active and get engaged and get involved in the political process. Okay, and that's especially critical these days because as the former California State Assembly Speaker Jess Unruh once said, money is the mother's milk of politics. And money is the key driver in political campaigns, and it has been for years and years. Way back in 1895. In 1895, just before I was born, Senator Mark Hanna of Ohio said that there are two things that are important in American politics: money, and I can't remember the other one. You know, it's all about the money. And the projections are that this year's campaign for the White House, for the Senate, and for the House is projected to be $6.5 billion. Okay, $6.5 billion, which is up considerably even from the last general election in 2016. So the question is, where does that leave people like us, who aren't big contributors to campaigns, who don't have the money to do that, who don't have the connections to do that, but we still are, of course, invested in what happens in the country politically, and we want to make a change. So that's what we'll be talking about tonight. And happy to introduce a woman who's taken that role on for herself to show that every person has a role to play. Everybody can make a contribution. So I'd like to introduce Stephanie Loera, who is the founder of the Puro Political Pari, the PPP, not to be confused with the PPP, which is the Payroll Protection Plan, because you're not handing out any money, are you, Stephanie? You're
not at the moment.
Not doing that. Okay, so welcome, Stephanie, and you tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you work? Where?
I actually work at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes.
That's where I've seen you. Yes, that's right. Okay. I thought
that is my job. Yes.
Okay.
But when I'm not working, when I'm out and about in my own private time and world, I also love to do this type of community work.
So how did you first get involved in this, and what got you motivated to get involved?
Oh, wow. Many things. I would have to say at the moment, definitely the 2016 elections, as it was for so many of us. I always was involved in smaller ways because I knew it was, we had to do our civic duty, we had to vote, we had to encourage our family members to vote. But it just, it hit me after the 26th election that was important work, but there was a lot more work that needed to be done. Mm-hmm. And I do have a slideshow mm-hmm. or some interesting slides that I'm happy to bring on.
Okay, but what was your very first political involvement? Did that come in school or after you got out of school? Where did that come about?
Yeah, I've actually done a few things. I used to work at the LGBTQ Pride Center at Cal State San Bernardino. I also started a group when I was going to grad school at the University of East London called Talk Out Loud, which is a group that focused on women's assault against women and how we can make our campuses safer. And I also was involved in the 2018 midterm elections, which after the 2016 elections, that was really where it opened a new world to me as far as my understanding of how critical people power was and everyone's participation in getting others out to vote.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Do you come from a political family? Was your family active much?
That's a good question. Not quite. I'll be honest with you. My entire family is actually from a small village in Mexico called Calvillo in the state of Aguascalientes. Mm-hmm. And as far as I remember, not quite. I mean, my great-grandfather owned a bar yeah. where a lot of politicos of the town and of the bigger city of Aguascalientes, when they would come into the ranch, mm-hmm. they'd go in there and have a drink and talk politics, mostly men. But aside from that, I really, I grew up often hearing from a lot of women around me since I was a little girl, yo no me meto en política, yo no entiendo eso. I don't get involved in politics, I don't get it. And mm-hmm. so, to be honest, earlier in my life, I was like, I guess I believe that too. I don't understand it, so why should I get involved with it? But later mm-hmm. on, I really came to realize that you absolutely have to get involved, especially as a woman, especially as a Latina woman. Mm-hmm. It became more and more important to me with time.
Good. So, so all of that led to the creation of this organization. How did it just come to you one night that I've got to do something? How did that come about?
Not quite. Well, actually, maybe. Let's see. The 2016 elections, like for so many of us, Woke up the next day feeling like a car had hit me and thinking, what the heck happened?
Mhm.
I absolutely thought we had this. And not just that, but I thought there were some amazing people out there strategizing, people who were more capable, smarter, more articulate, just they had it. And then I realized, actually, it takes every one of us. There are some of those people out there, but we are just as important. And we are also, all of us, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Not a
Mhm.
hero
Mhm.
or a shiro, but we are active participants in this movement. And
Yeah.
so I decided, I guess I got to get more involved. I got to figure, first of all, I got to figure out, well, how do we even get involved? It seems so abstract, the
Mhm.
idea of politics. And so from that point, I found a group called Swing Left. I was already looking at Indivisible as well. And I got very much involved in the midterm elections of 2018, particularly the elections in Orange County, really like out there all the time,
Mhm.
phone banking, calling, on the ground canvassing. And I just, it was incredible to see the results of those elections and just how much it mattered that we were out there, all of us.
That's true. Yeah, I think a lot of us went through that experience after the 2016 election. I know that I didn't feel like I did all that I should have done. We thought we had it. All the polls were showing that it was in the bag, and we were in for quite a shock on election night. And I should confess right off the bat too that I am a card carrying member of the PEOPLE. I don't know if I'm a charter member or not, but I am involved. And Stephanie and I joined a lot of other campaigns back in 2018 to turn around seats in Orange County, and we're very successful in that effort. And wore out a couple of pair of tennis shoes, I think, in that process. Walking the hills of Tustin and Orange and
Yeah.
Brea and La Habra and everywhere else that we were. But it was it was a great experience, and people really appreciate being connected with someone and having someone contact them,
Yes.
and have someone that they can ask questions to,
Yes.
which is, I think, what's led to the founding of your organization too.
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good. So tell us a little bit about it then.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
And I think you have some slides to share here too.
I do.
Good.
So
Okay.
I'll start us off. Let me see. So I'm relatively new at Zoom, but I'm gonna do my best here. Let's see. So we got the first slide up. Hope you all can see. All right.
Mhm.
So hola, somos el PPP or Puro Political Pari. Welcome again. And it may take a little bit of time for these to transition. So just as a friendly reminder before I go into who we are, kind of in a more concrete way. Again, on this call, on this webinar, we have myself, co-founder, along with my sister of Puro Political Pari, Esperanza Sanchez, officer and member, beloved officer and member of Puro Political Pari, and another beloved and awesome active member is Victoria Valenzuela as well. So John, you asked the question, so what is Puro Political Pari? And here's kind of a simplified answer to that. So we are essentially a progressive group of mostly Latinx folks working to increase voter registration and voter turnout in super swing states. And now the super swing states is a term coined by Swing Left. Essentially meaning the states that are going to have the biggest influence at the national level when it comes to elections. And so I'll go more into that, more into detail on that later, but in particular, our focus as a Latinx, predominantly Latinx group and focus group is to also connect with Latinx voters and getting Latinx voters out to vote throughout the country, but in particular in Arizona, Texas, and Florida. So that's who we are. I'll also mention this, which is extremely important. Although we are a predominantly Latinx group, we welcome all, and we strongly encourage it as well. Folks of all ages, all ethnicities, creeds, orientation, legal status. Please, please participate. We need each other. And although we are Latinx focused, this is a group effort here if we're going to make any change happen, and it's better that way.
So question, Stephanie, before you go on, how much money do you receive from the Democratic Party to get this going? Where's all your funding coming from?
Oh my gosh, so much money. So much. No, not at all. This is 100% volunteer funded. And I mean, we fund it. I've definitely contributed, a couple hundred, not that I have that much, but, little by little, I was able to, invest in this. It's donation based, and whether you donate by bringing in your stamps, putting money in so we can buy envelopes, or to print out these letters, it's us. The money comes from us, the people.
Mm-hmm. And you're coming to us, I think, live from the worldwide headquarters of the PEOPLE too, right? Which
That's
is your
right.
apartment, right?
It's this big, gorgeous marble floored headquarters. Yes. No, it's literally our little apartment. Our first meeting was here, and just in our living room, doing what we can because we care, like, passionately. And then we eventually expanded it into a bowling alley that was very kind enough to allow us to borrow one of their event spaces.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can continue here. So moving on. So again, you asked these questions in the beginning, John, like, how did this even happen? But again, 2016 came, and the reason Puro Political Pari came to be is because of that question that so many of us were asking ourselves: what the heck happened after 2016's November election? And coming to the realization myself, after working with Swing Left in Orange County, making phone calls in the Central Valley, I mean, anything and everything we could do, just trying to swing those 2018 swing districts, coming to realize that we were, again, the ones we were waiting for. It's me, it's you, it's all of us. And the only way this true progressive change happens is if it's people powered. And yes, it's important to vote, but we need a people powered strategy that goes beyond that at the national level as well if we want to change things at the national level. And so we know there are a lot of forces at play, as you mentioned, John, money, predominantly money. And the folks on the other side, they got money, they do, but we have people powered, and we are just a group that truly believes that people power is actually far more powerful than money will ever be, especially if that passion is channeled in the right way for good. So how do we make meaningful political change happen? That's the question, right? That we all have. And of course, the answer is by posting angry social media messages and posting cool political content, right? No. No, this is not how you make meaningful political change happen. However, Lord knows we probably have all done it. I know I've done it. And so we want to deviate from that. We want a real strategic people-powered plan. And so here is one way. We are a strategic people-powered movement. Our focus, as mentioned earlier, is on the super swing states, a term coined by Swing Left, again, to identify the states that are going to have the biggest impact at the national level when it comes to these upcoming elections. And so these states that you see here in this slide include Arizona, Texas, and Florida, which we focus on, and beyond, as you see, Iowa, Colorado, Michigan. But these are super states because, one, they're going to have the biggest impact at the Senate level races, two, in terms of the presidential races, and three, in terms of the redrawing of district maps, which we are definitely aware that absolutely skews the outcomes of these elections. And so, again, Puro Political Pari, we help in wherever we can, but our focus definitely is Arizona, Texas, Florida. But again, based on the super swing states.
So just to add, Stephanie, when we talk about all the money that's going to be spent on the races this year, frankly, we won't see a lot of that here in California because California is a pretty solidly blue state. So the presidential election is really not in doubt here. So of that, $6 billion or so that's going to be spent, the large majority of those dollars are going to go into these swing states that are identified here. Those are the real crucial make or break states that both parties are going to be concentrating on. And in order for the Senate to turn blue, the Democrats will need to win 3 or 4 seats, depending on what happens with the presidential race. So, and again, where you see where there are states with a red band, those are states with the potential to go blue and make the difference. So there's 7 states there that are identified. So the Democrats need to win 3 or 4 of those in order to turn over the Senate.
Right. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. And I was going to mention one more note, slipping my mind here, but again, actually, this is what it is. As John mentions, California is very important. We must vote no matter what, all of us. But man, will a voter in Texas have an influence, a real big influence on our lives, here in California and throughout the country, or in Arizona, or in Georgia, or in Iowa, as a lot of us know. So that is why, again, our focus is on those voters. So moving on here to our method, it's actually as simple as you see it here, to be honest. We letter write as Puro Political Pari. We're working on expanding on our text messaging efforts, phone banking as well, phone banking. And I was trying to think, well, what other information do I put in this slide? But really, it's as simple as that. You come to a Puro Political Pari, or whether it's virtually or physically when we meet together at a space, hopefully someday soon. But essentially it's this, you get a list of a couple of voters and you write letters to them, you write postcards to them, you sit down and at your laptop, you start text messaging voters on various campaigns that we're working on. So that is one piece of our method, how our method works.
So, and of course, when you magnify, I mean, you're one relatively small organization, but when you magnify that by other groups like yours across the country, that's when it begins to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Especially when you talk about, races that were won by 100 voters or what have you. I mean, every single thing that we do, it absolutely matters.
Okay.
Very true. And as we do this, as you know, we do it while we party. And I didn't mention it earlier, but that's a pretty key element to what we do. And that really is because we want to have fun. We want to, as they say in Spanish, queremos convivir. We want to talk to each other. We want to know why these things are important. And we all come from different walks of life. And so as we're reaching out to folks, whether again, virtually or physically, it's kind of a party atmosphere with snacks and drinks, or alcoholic, non-alcoholic drinks, what have you. But it's just a really, it's a fun environment to be in. And I'll say, before I move on to the next slide, one more thing. And I probably should have mentioned this at the beginning. Puro Political Pari, as some of you may probably already know, comes from the saying Puro hinche pari. I'm not going to say the actual word, Puro hinche pari, but of course, we removed the hinche and we added Political Pari because, again, we want to keep it fun. We want to make it relevant to us culturally, but also keep it fun. So that's why we are Puro Political Pari. And again, as a reminder, we would do this physically before COVID-19, but we are still doing it as we speak because we can still write letters, text, call at home as well. And so just mentioning here our efforts, we prioritize our efforts by focusing on elections that are fast approaching and on campaigns that will maximize our reach. So as I mentioned, Arizona, Florida, Texas, some of the states that we've written to all of these states actually. And I would like to think definitely had an influence in some of the races that happened recently or that are continuing as we speak. Mark Kelly, former astronaut, running for senator in Arizona, Elise Markowitz, Texas 28th House District, even Regina Romero, who's first woman, first Latina to win mayor of Tucson. And we even wrote letters out to Virginia, which some may know completely flipped blue. The House legislature flipped totally blue, and we're beginning to see just the incredible outcome of that has had on that state, from gun control to women's rights and more. And so I think this is just so crucial to mention. So does Puro Political Pari, do we do what we do alone? I mean, it's us, we're in our little group, hoping to expand our group, but do we do this by ourselves? And the answer to that is simply no, absolutely no, claro que no. Our work that we do is totally dependent on a concerted effort that's happening throughout the country, throughout this state, with various organizations that have been doing this before Trump, after Trump. And so we are doing our best to work mindfully and collectively, because that truly is the only way that this will work. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without watching what these folks are doing, getting guidance from what these folks are doing, and getting material from these folks. So everything from Field Team 6 and their phone banking efforts, Vote Forward, create the lists and create the letters that we use to fill out ourselves, and all of the amazing work that's being done at the local level, probably most importantly in Texas and Florida and Arizona, Texas Rising, Move Texas, the New Florida Majority, and Lucha in Arizona. I mean, it is absolutely a concerted effort. And again, goes back to why this is a strategic people-powered movement and not a couple of people who are real good at what they do kind of movement.
So just to ask Stephanie then, or just to ask, these are all informal organizations that have arisen in the last few months or years that are not necessarily affiliated with the party, but they all want to get involved, and they all, again, want to harness the people power to make a difference in the election this year. So it's kind of an informal network of organizations that all kind of support each other and work together for a common purpose.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But and that's how we're able to do it, probably even more so just because we are one of the many groups that are coming together with this one goal in mind, and using each of our strategies, but still with the purpose of capturing that blue slate, like that down the ballot blue outcome.
Mm-hmm. And of course, there are many other groups besides these too. What is Jason's group's name again? Jason
That's
Berlin.
Right. Yeah, Jason Berlin with Field Team 6.
Team 6.
He's a monster out there doing amazing work. I mean, he's just great. In Arizona and Texas, throughout really those super swing states, registering voters, phone banking, all of that, and again emphasizing that it doesn't stop because we're bound at home, as tough as it is, and really it's wow, what a change, what a curveball life has given us, but the work is still continuing with all these groups as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, we don't do this alone. And just kind of my part here, I just want to leave us again going back to why, how this came about, and remembering it really is about us. We often search for someone else to save, or we might, I don't know. not everyone may have that same thinking, but ultimately it really is you who we've been waiting for. And when we work together, we can take real action now, right now, to better our future. And this brings us to our next point here. I'd like to introduce you all to some of our party peeps. Tonight, as mentioned earlier, we have Esperanza Sanchez and Victoria Valenzuela. Esperanza, awesome person, historian, curator, officer of Puro Political Pari as well on the side while she's living her own personal life. Victoria Valenzuela, an artist, a content creator, fashionista, a activist. They're lending their time here tonight just to share a little bit on their experience of Puro Political Pari, but also why this work in general is so meaningful to them. So before we begin here, John, would you like to step in with questions, or would you like me to lead this portion?
Well, just probably the same question you were going to ask, but were either of you involved in political campaigns previously?
No, I think the only thing that I probably did was donate and just pay attention to the issues, but not officially. I think a lot of the things that happened was while I was a college student and doing my graduate program, so it was hard to have time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here. This would be like my first official like organization politically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the appeal for you both to get involved with this group? Did Stephanie twist your arm, or how did that work? Yeah.
Esperanza, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I mean, for me, I really love politics. And I think when Stephanie started to talk to us about it, I think it was something very interesting and very cool. And I was just very engaged with it. And I said, well, why not? I mean, this is something that is very active and I wanted to try it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for myself, doing anything I can politically, just to kind of help, just do something to help. That's what I was looking to do. So Puro Political Pari came at a perfect time. Like Stephanie had said, 2016 was the year for myself where it kind of opened my eyes to see so much was changing, and I wanted to do something to help change as well. So yeah, that's what led me here.
Good. And how has the experience been so far? What kinds of things have you been doing?
With Puro Political Pari, it's been fun. I think it's an opportunity where you're not only doing what you need to do, which is the letter writing, which is, the most important thing, but it's also you're socializing and you're meeting new people and you're engaging in conversations. And it doesn't matter if you have a lot of knowledge or you only have a little bit, we're constantly having conversations and talking about our own personal lives too. So it makes it so personable and we get to know each other. We develop friendships, after so many visits that we've, engaged with one another. So it's been fun for me.
Good.
Yeah, and for myself, it's like an awesome social club, but at the same time, at the end of the day, we're there to make a change. So we're writing letters to people. We're literally writing letters to get people that may not be registered or are registered just to vote. And it makes it just personable. And again, we get to meet new people and talk about our own stories and share different insights, different ideas. So that's what really makes it a lot of fun. And at the same time, we're doing something to change everything that's happening.
That's great. Good. Come on back, Stephanie. Good. And so you meet people, and so you do this good work in kind of a fun atmosphere with other people. And I think, Stephanie, you mentioned that you do some of the sessions at a bowling alley too.
Yep. The bowling alley is always fun. Like Stephanie said, Puro Political Pari started in their apartment, and it was very fun, very intimate, and we got to go ahead and do this at a bowling alley. So, we get to enjoy some food, enjoy some drinks, and then after we're done writing to people, we get to go ahead and play some, get to bowl, which is just like, yeah, it's just super fun. So it's a great environment.
Good. That's good. and I think it's interesting that one of the key techniques that you're using, one of the key strategies, is sending letters to people. You know, that is so un-high tech. That is so old school.
Mhm.
But people don't often get a personally written letter to them anymore. So I'm sure that stands out when they get that in the mail. Is that the thinking behind that, Stephanie? Is that why you do letter writing?
I mean, absolutely. We don't know what these people are experiencing there, and we'd like to think we're a lot more similar than we are different, and so we want to connect, and that opens that conversation for them and with us, to one, hopefully think we see you, we're thinking of you, we know that we can't move forward without each other, and two, this is just so it goes beyond what we normally think of politics as this bipartisan, really like rough, angry, like just all this punditry. It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
these are real lives. These are people just like us out there. And the world is so much smaller than we think it is. So I think that personal touch is key to remembering that. And then hopefully inspiring them to participate.
Good. So the whole concept is bringing people together in a fun time over some beers, and whether in the home or a bowling alley or wherever else you may go, and writing letters, maybe sending text messages, and really communicating with people. And I think, and you're targeted again in those key swing states, number one. And number two, I think you're going primarily to recently registered people too, who may be new to the political process and need a little encouragement and reminders to be active and vote.
Yes, yes. I mean, really, those folks, we get an interesting, just array of people that we're connecting with. A lot of new registered folks, a lot of folks who haven't registered, but that we're able to send them auto-filled applications that all they have to do is just cross-check, sign off, make sure the details are correct, and then boom, they're registered. We also talk to, it can get very strategic. I'll tell you that we don't want to waste anyone's time or our own time. And so, we're really looking for guidance, or we're being guided in a way that is very targeted or focused, so that it makes real sense, that we're not just sending letters, that aren't going to be read or that won't make sense to the recipient. Yeah.
Okay. So I could spend the night after work, on Facebook, sending out mean messages to people, getting engaged in political discussions. It's not going to swing anybody over, right?
Does that work, Vicky? Does that work, Esperanza?
No, it is not.
Okay. So it's channeling that energy into something that is positive and actionable, and it's going to really zero in on people who could be right on the verge and who just need that little nudge to get out there and to vote the blue way. That's the idea? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Good. And when we think of a lot of political campaigning, political campaigning traditionally has been going to a campaign headquarters, walking precincts, making phone calls, and doing that kind of work that a lot of people don't really like to do. It used to be stuffing envelopes way back before the internet. We used to do a lot of mailings and we'd stuff envelopes or send out brochures. Don't really do that anymore now, because of the internet. But there's still a lot of walking to precincts and phone banking. Some people, though, aren't too comfortable in doing that. So this is another way, though, to get involved without having to get out there and do things that kind of way, right?
Absolutely. No, you come into this where you're at, where you feel comfortable. Whether it's writing a postcard, decorating it, writing a letter, texting, phone, once you're ready, phone banking, going out there in person once, hopefully we're able to do so. But we meet you where you're at. But one thing I can guarantee you, it's going to be a lot easier than you ever imagined, because it is. I did not, I first, the way I envisioned it, it was like, oh my God, I don't want to go out and argue with people, debate them at their houses. What? That's crazy. But the reality is, it's not that difficult actually to connect with them in these other ways, one. And most of the people that I actually made contact with, they don't want to be mean to you. You're another human, and no matter what side they're on, they're good people too at the core. And so I promise it will be so much easier than you imagine, which I'm sure Esperanza and Vicky were surprised to find out too, like, what? This is all?
Yeah, the thing is what makes Puro Political Party so special is that it's such a different kind of atmosphere that you walk into. It's you're welcomed by people that seem like friends, even if you may not know them. It's a comfortable setting and you have fun doing it. A lot of people find politics really scary. So this is a great place if you feel scared by it to come to kind of change your mindset on it, because it's we all come together and we are doing things to change hopefully this nation. So yeah.
Yeah, and we're writing directly to people, which is very tangible. So it's like John mentioned, and Stephanie and Victoria as well, is that people don't really get letters anymore. But one of the things that we do is we emphasize why we're voting, and we write personally our stories in order to encourage them to also vote or to register to vote, because their vote is really their voice, right? And so we're trying to engage them because we know that the numbers are important. That's how you kind of move the politics and you create this movement. But a lot of people feel like they're not able to engage in it, maybe because they don't have the background or they don't have family connections. But it doesn't need to be that way. It just, the very basic thing to do is just to vote, to register, to be engaged, pay attention to what's going on in society. But I feel like people get a little nervous about it. And so when we reach out to them, maybe this is the opportunity where they can finally register to vote or actually vote and pull other people as well with them too.
And of course, we're getting questions. People are ready to sign up. They're ready to come and work. And Stephanie now has the slide up on how you can contact her and get involved with the organization. So you have the website there, and you have an email contact as well. But Stephanie, like everybody else, of course, you've pretty much been shut down since mid-March. So is the organization inactive right now? Is there anything that people can do?
We are never inactive. There is always a way. I'll tell you that right now. And a lot of, we come together because we really like each other and we want to hear each other, and we're coming from all types of backgrounds and a range of political thinking with this one focus. However, a lot of what we do, you can still do at home by yourself. And one of the ways that we've remained active is through letter writing. So simply, we can get you a list of voters that you would reach out to. All you have to do is, email me. I send you a file with that list. You print out the list of, let's say, 20 voters that you'll be reaching out to. And you just have to fill out that center section, which explains, for example, why you vote, why it's important to you. On their part, they just have to fill it out, stuff in an envelope. If you can, add a stamp to it, and then we go from there. And one of the big projects that we're working on at the moment is what they're calling the Big Send. It's called the Big Send, which essentially is we are writing letters like crazy, and we are stashing them, and then we will be sending them out in October before the November elections, so that once we get close, it's going to be just an arsenal of letters being mailed out and reaching folks during one of the most crucial times of the election, which is the GOTV period, get out the vote period of election. So absolutely, there's always something you can do, and that's just one thing. People are still phone banking. We're registering folks, or we're helping folks change their status to vote by mail. That's another big one, right? Because if we're in what we're in now, come November, we want to make absolutely sure that people are able to vote as safely as possible. That they're still able to vote, but it's not at the detriment of their health, unfortunately, as happened in Wisconsin. So that's another, effort that's happening. So there's absolutely ways you can still participate during this time.
I actually have my envelopes here ready to go. These are going
Yay.
to towns I've never
Texas.
heard of. Katy, Texas, Houston, of course, Earless, Texas, Sulphur Springs, Texas, Austin, Port Arthur, so I've got Texas letters ready to go.
Yes, thank you,
Talk to,
John.
to the good
Wonderful.
good blue people there. Good. Some people though, even at that, it can't make the time. Are there other ways that they can get involved? Do you accept donations to the organization too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every
Okay.
penny will be so, we're so grateful to anything that anyone can give, whether it's cash for supplies, whether you have a bunch of stamps for some reason that you don't really think you'll be using or that you don't mind giving, we'll take it. Envelopes, we'll take them. An old iPad or laptop that we could use for phone banking and text messaging, we will take it. So this is completely funded by us, the people, of Puro Political Pari, and some wonderful, but few folks that have, given us some financial support as well. But really, it's predominantly us. So if you can't do it in person, or if you can't participate by letter writing at home, we welcome your donations, and we welcome whether it's monetary or in kind.
That's great. Good. And any other thoughts? We had a question from cyberspace here about from Britt Campbell, who I think has been involved with the group, about through Esperanza and Vicky. How has this experience been so meaningful to you personally?
Well, go ahead, Vicky.
Okay.
Sorry.
For me, it's been meaningful because you get to walk into a space and you walk out knowing that you've done something, and you walk out with every meeting. We're sending out about 80 to 100 letters. So those are 80 to 100 different people that we're impacting. Like Esperanza said earlier, we're getting actual letters. We're sending actual letters that we're writing to people. So I can only imagine if I received a letter that somebody actually wrote to me, urging me to register to vote or to vote in this upcoming election, that would mean so much. So to me, that's why it's very meaningful to do the work. And it's not really, work per se. It's we get to have a good time doing it. So that's why it's meaningful, because we're creating that change and we are that ripple effect.
I love that. Vicky, if I can ask you too, is that more effective, or is posting something on Facebook? What do you feel better doing, after you post something on Facebook about politics, or after you leave one of our group meetings?
Yeah. So I mean, in 2016, Facebook was insane, and I had to step away from it because people that I knew personally, were posting all kinds of crazy rants and angry things that I didn't agree with at all, family members included. So angry rants on social media are never, I think, the answer. It's better to just go out and do the work and have fun as well.
Yeah, and for me, it's very important to be part of this because it is meaningful for me, because my family has been very much involved in politics. They've run for office, they've run elected officials where my parents are from, in small towns in Mexico. And so when they came to the US and I was born here, I was raised with making sure that I'm active, that I'm involved with politics. But on top of it, they also said, anything that you are achieving, any success that you're doing, you also need to bring other people with you. That is your duty. You need to reach out to them. And so with Puro Political Pari, one of the ways that we engage people is by reaching out to them, as Vicky mentioned, and Victoria. But on top of it is we're encouraging them. We're not pushing an agenda completely, but we are hoping that they will register to vote and that they will go out there and bring other people with them as well, because it's the most basic civic duty that they can do. And if they want to engage even further, they can do that on their own too.
Yes.
Good. And a couple more questions that have come in, Stephanie. One is just kind of a technical question. How do you identify the people who receive the letters? Where do those lists come from?
Yeah, Vote Forward has partnered with Swing Left. So they're an org that works closely with Swing Left and provides them with essentially a list of, let's say, 20 voters, and then a kind of a template that already has the basic information typed in that we then autofill. So all that information is gathered via Vote Forward, and there's a lot of great info on them and past studies that have shown its effectiveness or their effectiveness at Vote Forward, I believe voteforward.org.
Okay, good. And do you see another question from Monica Salazar? Do you see a life for the organization after November? Do you see it potentially maybe getting involved in local elections as well?
That's a great question. I think we have to think of it as a long-term game. You know, this isn't just about who's in the White House right now. This is about the way this country is moving politically. So if we can afford it, if we can make the time, then I think we have to continue doing this after the elections. And we have to continue expanding on how we do this as well and who we are working with. One, and then two, as far as local elections, that's another great question. I think there is a strong possibility that we may be expanding more on what's happening locally in California, even in Los Angeles. It's still to be determined, but that's definitely possible. And if you are looking to participate in a group that already exists and is doing this, although not through kind of our kind of in our format or with our goal of, you know, creating more like a Latinx POC environment, but also reaching out to you know, our Latinx community members. There is a group called Civic Sundays who's doing amazing work, and you go to one of their meetings virtually or physically, and you can decide, okay, I want to work on this campaign, or I want to text message, or I want to fundraise, whatever it is. They kind of have it all set up, and you just kind of choose where you want to focus your efforts.
Good. We're just about at the end here, and I know we have a couple more points that we want to make. So Stephanie, if you want to move to that and talk about two important issues as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so just closing out here with the basic register to vote. If you're out there watching this, or you know folks who haven't already, one, let's get everyone registered to vote. And two, let's get everyone to take the census. And so just basic information, you can register to vote through the California Secretary of State website, which you can easily Google, or go to this website here, registertovote.california.gov. And I know you can do same-day voter registration, or you can register to vote 15 days before the elections online, for example. I think the key here is to register to vote by mail, though, especially given the stay-at-home order that we're in, and just being mindful of where we'll be come fall. So that's one, register to vote or get others registered to vote always. And then two, of course, get counted. We have the census coming up, which is just so crucial. As it reads here, your response helps to direct billions of dollars in federal funds to local communities for schools, roads, and other public services. And also the results of the 2020 census will be used to determine the number of seats each state has in Congress and your political representation at all levels of government. So super key in this 2020, take the census, encourage those around you to take it as well. And I know they've pushed the deadline back to October 31st.
Great. And remember too, with voter registration, that if you will be 18 by November 3rd, like I will, then you can register to vote and vote in the election this year. And
yes,
you can register online at the website that Stephanie has listed here.
Yes.
So.
And John, if I may piggyback on that note, I just want to show off my shirt here.
Oh yeah.
Young, educated, woke voter. But more importantly, this is from the group. I hope you could see this.
Yeah.
Can you see this? Okay.
Power California.
Power California.
That's great.
I mean, this is a just extraordinary group of POC voters who are just making a massive difference in their households and in their communities. And they're just, it's so visionary, and it's the future of this effort. So that's another thing to please consider checking out Power California and their good work.
Great. That's great. You know, it's just really encouraging, motivating to see people getting involved and taking the initiative themselves to turn things around. You know, I've been involved in political campaigning since the Truman administration, I think, way before the internet, barely in TV. And it was a very structured process. This is much more casual, but probably much more effective as well too. It's something that you can do from your home while you're watching TV, or if you choose to make it social, you can come and join a party with the group. Bring your kid. We've had dogs attend too. They don't write very well, but you know, they do their best.
We have, and babies.
And babies, yes.
And young children.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They love the bowling alley.
Good. So Stephanie, any final thoughts as we wrap up here?
I hope folks will consider, well, first of all, we'll vote, we'll take the census, and we'll consider the work that we do, if not working with other groups that we mentioned tonight, and just kind of re-emphasizing this is a way to get involved that is not abstract, that is very direct, that is very simple, that will meet you where you are. And, you know, it's going to take that. You know, it's important to vote, but we're going to have to go above and beyond that this year. And we know there's a lot that we're fighting here, a lot that we're up against, but we believe in what we're doing, and we feel like that's the passion that's going to move us past this moment in time that we feel has been a bit of a struggle for this country. So please get involved, vote and get involved.
Great. Well, again, Stephanie, thank you for taking the initiative to put this together, and to take action and to make it real. And thank you, Esperanza and Vicky too, for getting involved and participating. And again, we know that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other people across the country who are doing the same thing. So we just encourage everybody out there to get involved, to be active. This is a democracy. We all have a role to play, and it's much more than just being on social media, but it's taking an active participant role in what we're doing. And Abelardo, I don't know if we have any final questions out there.
No, I think, well, thank you everybody who joined in on Zoom and also on Facebook Live. I've whatever got on Facebook Live, I transferred it over here to the chat. So you answered the questions that were there. There are a couple good comments. But basically, thank you so much, everybody, for attending today's En Casa con la Plaza. This is our second week of Zoom sessions, LatinX Zoom sessions, and they've all been fun and entertaining and informative, especially this one. This is an important year for the elections, not just nationally, but also locally. And this is a great way to get involved. And Stephanie, I swear, someday I will be joining you there at the All-Star Lanes when it opens back up, and you participate.
Thank
we
you.
know where to find you.
Yes,
All
we do.
right. Well,
And thank you, La
quick.
Plaza.
All
Gracias,
right.
La Plaza. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you to John and to all the staff of La Plaza for making this possible. Thank you to our sponsors, Walmart and AARP California, for bringing this to us. And thank you to all. Just to let you know what's going on in the next couple of days, I'm going to read off from our website, lapca.org. If you go to lapca.org, you'll find our upcoming sessions on Friday, May 8th at 7 p.m. Loteria with Dr. Gloria Arjona, a lecturer and entertainer. She'll be telling us about the history of Loteria. Its origins from an Italian game and its connection to an ancient Mesoamerican board game, Patoli. So come on down. She's not only going to talk about it, but we're also going to play a game of Loteria. What better thing to do on a Saturday night than to play some Loteria?
Friday, right?
Next Monday, we have another cooking demonstration. Our first cooking demonstration took place last Monday with Jocelyn Ramirez of Todo Verde. Showed us how to make vegan pipián rojo. on Monday, May 11th at 3 o'clock, we have Maite Gomez Rejon of Art Bites. She'll be doing talking about the cuisine of Northern Mexico and teaching us all how to make flour tortillas. I mean, you got to learn how to make flour tortillas if you are really, truly in Mexico or Mexico. Anyway, and then we have Philip Rodriguez on Wednesday, Gaetino with Dan Guerrero on Friday. You could check them all out, please, at lapca.org. Plus, we have an archive of all our in Casas with Gustavo Arellano, with Lalo Alcaraz, with Jocelyn, with bilingual storytelling, with the Los Angeles Public Library librarians. David Hayes Bautista talking about the real Cinco de Mayo. We got it all for you, and we're going to continue to do this on a weekly basis. Please join us for the next one. Register on Zoom or come to us on Facebook Live. And we have Mel Loera giving it up to our Puro Political Queens.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, John, Stephanie, Victoria, Esperanza. We'll see you soon. We'll see all of you soon, hopefully at La Plaza de Cultura y Artes soon. If not there, at least here online at your home with your friends and family. Our social media handles are, let's see, lapca.org is our website. We're at La Plaza LA on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and YouTube. You can catch all of these, the repeats on YouTube and also LAPCA, but we're at La Plaza LA. That's it for tonight. Buenas noches a todos. Party on.
Gracias.
Party on.
Thank you.
Salud.
Bye.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Salud.
Bye.
Salud.
Hi.
And I'm going to stop it here and buenas noches.